Good evening, friends. Let's continue reading Anna and Martin's on Christmas Eve. We just finished chapter 3 and we learned a little bit more about our main character. She is still very eager to try to meet Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, and her best friend's father's still in the hospital and he might be there for Christmas. So they're planning on getting him a little tree to put in his room and planning to sing some carols for him. This is chapter 4. The days are growing shorter and shorter. In about a week, we will have the shortest day of the whole year. It was barely light when Sarah and I got up this morning, and now, in late afternoon, it is already growing dark again. Mrs. Benjamin has stopped by and picked up Sarah, and Evie and I are sitting at the table in the kitchen drinking hot chocolate. I stare out the window to the back porch and our perfect Christmas tree. When we brought it home yesterday, we stood it there in a bucket of water. Now it is waiting to be brought inside and decorated. I am still gazing out the window when Evie says to me, "What are you thinking about, Tess? You have the weirdest expression on your face." What I am thinking right at this very second is that it isn't polite to tell people they look weird, and that Evie could stand to be a little more tactful. But that sounds rude too, and Santa Claus might be listening. So I say, "I am thinking about Christmas Eve." "About seeing Santa Claus?" replies Evie, and I am surprised she remembers. "Yes," I say cautiously. "Tess," Evie begins, and she is using her most annoying big sister voice. "Tell me, how exactly do you plan on seeing Santa?" "I am not just going to see him, I am going to meet him. I'm going to talk to him. I have a whole lot of questions to ask." "Okay, how do you plan on meeting Santa? You can't simply go downstairs and wait for him. Do you know how many kids do that every year? And have you ever heard of one who actually saw Santa?" I squirm in my seat. I am not squirming because of what Evie has said. I know that when I wait for Santa, I will meet him. I am squirming because I do not want to tell Evie my plan. I think it might jinx the magic. "Tess," says Evie, "well, I just don't want you to be disappointed on Christmas Day." I think of something. "Even if I don't see him, it won't mean there isn't a Santa Claus," I say brightly. "It will only mean I didn't see him." Evie sighs. She sips elaborately from her mug. "Tess, you really are way too old to believe in Santa Claus. You know that, don't you? Sarah doesn't believe in him. Just think about this. How could there possibly be a Santa? We know where our gifts come from. We buy them for each other. Sarah and Maggie and our other friends drop them off. Nana Florence and Papa Jim mail some. But even the ones with tags that say they're from Santa," Evie rushes on, "aren't really from him. They're from Mom and Dad. They just write Santa on the tags for fun. Have we ever gotten a present that wasn't actually from Mom or Papa Jim or Sarah or someone?" I have been waiting for that question. "What about the snow globe?" I ask. Now it's Evie's turn to squirm. She twists in her seat. She frowns. I know she knows exactly what I am talking about. It was Christmas morning 2 years ago. We were opening our presents, and I found one under the tree with a tag that read, "For Tess from Santa. Merry Christmas." The tag didn't look like any of the tags we had used when we wrapped our presents that year. It was plain white with a small gold star in one corner. The wrapping paper wasn't ours either. When I opened the box, I turned to Mom and Dad and said, "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Anyway." Mom and Dad looked at each other. "Isn't it from you?" I asked. "No," said Mom. "No," said Dad. They looked at each other again. "Evie," I said, "is it from you?" Evie shook her head. "Maybe Nana Florence sent it," I suggested. But when we called Nana and Pop-Pop that night, Nana said the snow globe sounded lovely, but it wasn't from her. Mom decided Nana Florence must have forgotten she had sent it, but I could tell she didn't believe that. "It really is from Santa," I announced. wondering just how many of the gifts we received each year are from Santa. But Mom thinks Dad bought them, and Dad thinks Mom bought them, and all the excitement, nobody cares much anyway. Now Evie says stubbornly, the snow globe must have been from someone. Yeah, I reply, it was from Santa. Evie rolls her eyes. For heaven's sake, she pauses. Okay, tell me this. How does Santa fit enough presents for all the children in the world into one pack and deliver them in a single night? That is not possible. Evie, I begin, he doesn't need enough presents for all the children in the world, only for the ones who celebrate Christmas. And Santa is magic. Anything is possible with magic. Santa still has to grant Christmas wishes for absolutely millions of children, Evie says impatiently. Besides, what about poor children? What about them, I ask. Why don't they get as many presents as other kids? Santa should be especially nice to them since their parents can afford to buy toys. He should buy them lots and lots of gifts. But some kids don't get any presents at all. And what about that? Evie rushes on before I can answer her. Kids like Sarah who wish for things that aren't toys. What do you mean, I say, even though I know perfectly well what she means. I mean that I'm sure Sarah's wish this year is for her father to get better. Do you think Santa can make him well? My heart begins to pound. This is exactly why I need to talk to Santa. I consider Evie's questions. Well, I say finally, I think that sometimes, instead of leaving presents, Santa gives the gift of magic to people who need big, important things to be done, like finding better houses or getting jobs for the grown-ups, or making sick people well. Evie is giving me a look that I have seen more and more often on her face since 6th grade began. It is a combination of disgust and disbelief, but she tries to be kind and doesn't say anything. Instead, she carries her mug to the sink, rinses it out, and leaves me sitting at the kitchen table. I look down into my mug and poke at a melted marshmallow. I think about Mr. Benjamin and Santa Claus. I know that Sarah's wish is actually for her father to be able to come home from the hospital in time for Christmas, but I am not sure that Santa can grant wishes before Christmas Day. The best I can do is wait till I see Santa on Christmas Eve and ask him, please, to make Mr. Benjamin well so that he'll be home for Christmas next year. Chapter 5. First thing on Monday morning, I open the 15th window on my advent calendar. Under the flap is a picture of one of Santa's elves. My stomach jumps. We are getting closer and closer to Christmas Eve. I dressed in red and green that morning. Green jumper and red blouse with red tights and my saddle shoes. When Evie sees me, she cries, Tess, you look like a Christmas elf. That is the point. We hurry to the kitchen. Girls, says Mom, don't take the school bus home this afternoon. I'm going to pick you up. Sarah, too. We have to run errands in town. My angel wings, exclaims Evie. Yes, we'll go to the sewing store, says Mom. Every year, the kids at our church put on a Christmas pageant, the Nativity. Every year, I love watching it, and every year, Evie loves being in it. I have never been in it. I do not like being stared at. But Evie has been in it year after year. She has played a sheep and a cow and a shepherd and a goat and another sheep. This year, though, she is going to be the angel Gabriel, and Maggie is going to play Mary. For the last 3 weeks, whenever Evie and Maggie have not been curling their hair or whispering about Dan Soderberg, who is the cutest boy in their class, they have been rehearsing their roles in the pageant. Since they don't have to say any lines, Evie has been practicing waving her arms and looking angelic, and Maggie has been practicing holding a baby and looking holy. Evie wants her Gabriel costume to be perfect, and we have to make a new one because last year's angel, Carl Hatley, was 2 years older and 8 inches taller than Evie. His costume will never fit her. Evie wants gossamer wings and a gold halo, and if possible, to look as though she is standing in a cloud. We'd better go to the hobby shop too, Evie says. We need gold wire and sparkles. Do you need to do any Christmas shopping, Tess? Mom asks. A little, I reply. I am making most of my presents in school. That is what we do all December in art class. I am making candy dishes for Mom and Nana Florence, and pencil cuts for Dad and Papa Jim, and a headband for Evie. But I still need presents for Sarah and Sadie, and something for Santa. I have decided that since I am going to meet Santa, it would be nice to give him a gift. Something better than the cookies and hot chocolate I always leave for him. Probably everybody leaves him cookies and hot chocolate. There's Santa flying around the world, dropping off wonderful gifts, and what does he get in return but plates of cookies and gallons of hot chocolate? I bet he can't stand cookies and hot chocolate by now. I want to give him something special. Mom, can Sarah and I shop by ourselves while you and Evie get the things for her costume? Certainly, replies Mom. Goody! I love going into town at Christmas time. Everything is lit with tiny gold lights. The lampposts are wound with green garlands and red ribbons. And the store windows, I could look in them forever. They'll be full of stars and wreaths and angels and Santas and reindeer and elves and snowmen and tinsel and bows. The window of the toy shop is my favorite. Mr. Vincel fills it with moving toys, an electric train, a twirling ballerina doll, marionettes that somehow dance all by themselves, a Santa who waves his hands, a little black dog that jumps up and down. Plus, Mr. Vincel plays Christmas music, so you can look and look and look in the window while you listen to Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, and Jingle Bells. In town that afternoon, Sarah and I waved goodbye to Mom and Evie, then we walked down the street, pausing to gaze into every window. I have $4.81 in my change purse, which I think will be enough for free presents. I need to buy a present for Sadie and one for you, I tell Sarah. I do not mention the present for Santa. You can come with me to the pet store, but not to Jensen's, okay? Sarah grins. Okay, while you go to Jensen's, I'll go to the fir tree. No spying. We'll meet at Mr. Vincel's window later. Perfect, I say. At Noah's Ark, Sarah helps me choose a bag of dog cookies for Sadie. Then she goes to the fir tree, and I scuffle along the snowy sidewalk to Jensen's. When I step inside, I stamp my feet on the mat, then head straight for the dollhouse furniture. I have decided to get a Christmas tree for Sarah's dollhouse. I know she has wanted one for a long time. I choose one with tiny decorations and lights on it. I am about to carry it to the counter when I see something that I know will be the perfect gift for Santa. It's a snow globe. But inside the globe and all the whirling snow is a springtime scene, a garden in bloom. It's a funny scene for a snow globe, but I think Santa will like it. For one thing, he probably never gets to see spring flowers up at the North Pole. Also, the snow globe will be my way of telling him that I know about the other snow globe, the one he left for me 2 years ago, the one that was a clue that Santa is real. When I have paid for the snow globe and the Christmas tree, I have only 14 cents left, 1 dime and 4 pennies. But I don't care. My Christmas shopping is finished, and I know I have gotten just the right gifts. Well, I know Sarah's and Santa's gifts are right, but I'm not certain about the cookies I have chosen for Sadie. It is so hard to know what to buy for a dog. That night, I carry a roll of wrapping paper and a spool of red ribbon to my room, close the door, and wrap all my Christmas gifts. I love Christmas secrets, even the ones that aren't magic. When the gifts are wrapped, I line them up on my bed and stare at them. This is the beginning, I whisper. It is the beginning of absolutely the most Christmassy time of all December. And this year, it is when I begin to hurtle toward Christmas Eve and Santa and the magic. On Tuesday, Sarah rides the bus home with me after school, and we plan the plan the carol program for her father. On Wednesday night, Dad brings our perfect Christmas tree inside, and he and Mom and Evie and I decorate it. We unpack our decorations from their old boxes and admire the new decorations I made with Sarah, and we drink hot chocolate and sing "Oh Christmas Tree." I get to put the star on the top of the tree, and Evie gets to plug in the lights. When she does, Dad turns off all the lamps in the living room, and we look at our tree, shining in the dark. It is the tree from my Christmas visions. On Thursday, Sarah comes home with me again, and she and Evie and Mom and I bake batches and batches of Christmas cookies, gingerbread men and bells and stars and reindeer and Santas. Our kitchen is warm, and our house smells of spices. We put the cookies into tins, one for the Andersons, one for Evie's teacher, one for my teacher, one for Sarah and her mother, one for us, and one for Sarah's father. On Friday, when Sarah rides the bus home with me, she is carrying her suitcase. She will be with us until Sunday. She doesn't say much. There are only 6 days left until Christmas. The tiny tree has been set up in Mr. Benjamin's hospital room, and we will put the program on for him the next day. Mom has said she will drive us to the hospital. When Sarah and Evie and I step off the bus that afternoon, Mom is waiting for us with Sadie, who's wearing a giant red bow around her neck. Evie and I laugh when we see her, but Sarah bursts into tears. "Come on, honey," says Mom, and she takes Sarah's suitcase from her, then holds her hand while we walk to the house. Evie and I do everything we can think of to cheer up Sarah. Finally, Evie invites Maggie over, and they put on their costumes and give us a secret performance of their roles in the pageant. "Ooh, your wings look real," Sarah exclaimed when she sees the Gabriel costume. "And you look so motherly," I tell Maggie. "Do I look holy?" she asks. "Oh, yes," Sarah and I assure her. By Saturday, Sarah seems more cheerful. "Are you ready for our program?" she asks me. "All ready," I reply. "Could I be part of it?" asks Evie, and I feel bad that we didn't think to ask her to join us. Sarah and I look at each other. "You could be our backup singer," Sarah says. "Okay," replies Evie. When we arrive at the hospital, Mom parks the car, then runs inside with the program for Mr. Benjamin. "I'll call down to you in a few minutes, girls," she says. Sarah and Evie and I climb out of the car and look at the hospital. "Do you know which window is your dad's?" Evie asks Sarah. "Yup," she pointed out. "Okay, now we have to get ready. Evie, you stand behind Tess and me. I'm going to announce each song before we sing it. That way, you'll know what's coming up, okay?" "Okay," says Evie. She'll do anything Sarah says. We are gazing at the window Sarah has pointed out, blowing on our hands, when suddenly the window opens and I can see Sarah's father in it. He's wearing a bathrobe, and even from our distance, even standing down here in the parking lot, I can see that his face is gaunt, almost like a skeleton's, and that his hands are shaking. "Dad! Hi, Dad!" cries Sarah, and it is as if a light has been turned on somewhere and is shining only on Sarah's face. "Hi, Mr. Benjamin," Evie and I say. "Merry Christmas." Mr. Benjamin gives us a wave. "Hi, girls," he says. "Merry Christmas." He speaks so softly that it's hard to hear him. But then he holds up the program, and I see the grin on his face. Sarah looks at Evie and me. "Hit it," she exclaims, and we begin the show with "Away in a Manger." Mr. Benjamin's smile grows bigger. By the time we have sung the last verse of "O Little Town of Bethlehem," which is the end of our show, Mr. Benjamin is holding a handkerchief to his eyes, but he is still smiling. "That," he says, "was the most wonderful Christmas present I could imagine. Thank you." Later, when Mom is driving Sarah and Evie and me home, the countryside flying by outside the windows of the car, I turn to look at Sarah. I see a small smile on her lips, and I know she's thinking of her father and her Christmas show. We'll pick up next time with Chapter 6.